back to my channel, and today I wanted to talk about why I haven't been here, what's been going on, and what I'm doing to make things better. I did want to do this as a get ready with me style video, but I kept spiraling off into tangents, and I have already recorded this once and it went a bit unhinged. So here we are with guided notes, and so let's just dive on in with a tea talk. So basically the cut and dry of it is I've been in a depressive state for a while now. I will be talking about this more in detail in a future video that I've mentioned before, my downward spiral of mental health. But more specifically in the last 15 months, things have gone from bad to worse to hitting the bedrock, and it's gone to the point where I couldn't carry on living the way I was living. I had no motivation, I was always exhausted, I was always irritable, I was always like 30 seconds away from rage. My nervous system was completely fried, and nothing that I would usually do to fix this state was working. None of my usual techniques, coping mechanisms, nothing had an effect. And I was doing so much research and trying to find something to help with my inability to manage my emotions. I felt completely out of control. I was even thinking about seeking outside help because it was getting bad. I'm high functioning with anxiety and depression, and I was barely functioning, and it was starting to affect all of us. So yeah. But in my research, I found a video by a psychologist talking about how the self-care industry is a scam. Whilst it's all well and good doing the external things to help us feel good, it takes the edge off, it lifts our mood and everything, it's not just about the self-care, the external, superficial aspects. What we need is care of self. And in that is when I learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, if you've ever heard, even I've spoken about it, but the concept of refilling the well has also come under the sort of superficial umbrella of self-care. No one specifies what the well is. They just say, oh, you need rest, you need enjoyment, you need things that make you happy. No. Well, I mean, yes. But what the wells are your needs. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there is different tiers, and as we go up the pyramid, the tiers get narrower because each additional tier is less intrinsic to your survival as a human. For example, your core base needs are hunger, rest, and safety. Now, if you aren't meeting your hunger need, if you are truly hungry, which very few people have ever experienced true hunger, I have. More on that in a future video. But if you are desperately hungry, your motivation is solely on fulfilling that need, that hunger need. You're not worried about job performance or going on a holiday or being lavish or anything like that. You just want to have a sustainable, continuous source of reliable food. And that is why the needs being fulfilled is so important, because as the needs get depleted, your goal orientation becomes solely focused on those needs, and your life kind of suppresses. The quality of your life suppresses down to the perimeter of that need being fulfilled. So, for example, the core needs are hunger, rest, safety. For me, rest is a huge issue. I am so burnt out all of my wells are empty. I'm running on empty, and I need to start focusing on the inner work and filling those wells and building myself back up from the ground. And I'm going to be taking you guys with me, making videos about it. Hopefully it'll help someone else. And I will talk more in depth about the hierarchy of needs and everything as we go along the process. So for example, rest. Rest is more than just sleep. Sleep does not mean you are rested. I sleep when I can no longer stay awake because there's nothing else I can do. I will go and go and go until the point where I go unconscious. I don't choose to sleep. My body says, bitch, you've had enough. Lights out now. Okay. I have a lot on my plate. I have a lot of stress. I have a lot of projects that I'm working towards and trying to mitigate it all and organize it all, and it is a lot. So when there is a time where I feel like I should be go all the time. I should be working on things all the time. So when there is a time when I physically can't work on things, it's really hard for me to give myself the permission to rest, to do something else, have a hobby, to read for fun, do anything for fun, or to just sit and enjoy doing nothing, just sit and twiddle my thumbs and enjoy nothingness. I always feel like I should be doing something, so I feel like I need to give myself more permission to do that. Also, when it comes to hunger and nutrition, I feel like I need more nourishment in my body. I'm, again, always tired. Is that because I don't let myself rest, or is it because I'm not eating properly? There's always food in the house, but I have a very voracious appetite, shall we say. I eat a lot regularly, and I often feel like I can't eat certain things in the house because if I eat it, that means there's less for the kids to eat. You know, I'm sure other mothers get into that paradox. But it's things like if I don't purchase it, it doesn't get bought because no one else eats it apart from me. No one else likes things like spinach and salads and leafy greens, fresh vegetables and things like that. No one else eats it apart from me. And I need more nourishment in my life. Like my overall physical health, I'm sore all the time. My hair is falling out and thinning. My skin is very lackluster. My nails are, well, they're not brittle, but they're not in their best condition. And yes, I can do superficial things to help that, or I could fix it from within, and it would help stabilize my mood if I ate properly and didn't rely on sugar heavy foods. And then we have safety. I haven't felt specifically safe. I think that was the final nail in the coffin when I felt the rug of safety being whipped out from under me about 15 months ago. Yeah, I haven't felt safe in a long time. I haven't felt like my house is my home. Even in this property, I don't feel like this house is my home. Feeling unwelcome in the place that I've lived for 6 years and still feel unwelcome in this property. And on top of that, feeling like with the condensation and everything that's in this property, the damp air, that things are just going to slowly get destroyed over time. And that unsettles me, that out of no fault of my own, I didn't, like in council properties, you get to choose the property, but in a sense you don't get to choose the property. You get to bid on a property and they offer you one of them, and you either say yes or you have to wait a further year, and I couldn't wait a further year. So yes, I picked this property because it was the only one that met our needs. And yeah, so this was a property we were offered. It's a property we moved into, and it's a roof, it's a lockable door. Other than that, you know, the thought of things being destroyed just because we live here, it's upsetting me. it upsets me. And I know they're just things and stuff, but we've only lived here for like 7 months, and the amount of stuff we've had to throw away that's been damaged or destroyed by moisture or mold, it's nuts. It's actually nuts. In this room alone, I have 3 damp traps. There's a damp trap in every single room. But in here, there's like 3 because there's so much stuff in here. But it's just madness. Absolute madness. So then we come on to the next tier of security. I don't have job security anymore. I moved from my long-standing position to where I am now, and there's always mutterings about, things aren't doing well, things aren't going well, pay's getting delayed. That's always fun. And whilst being self-employed isn't necessarily stable income, it opens up far more avenues for income. So whilst one stream of income might be at low tide, you could have another stream of income that turns into a torrent, and that is what we're working towards. It is the ultimate goal, is it not, to be self-employed, but also to have home security. I've always wanted to own my own home, it to be mine. I don't want to be living in someone else's house, living with a flatmate, living with my parents, living in council property. They're all someone else's home. I can't necessarily do what I want here. I can't refit the bathroom if I want to. I have to get permission to do that. I can't change out the kitchen. I have to get permission to do that. I couldn't apply for a permit to make any structural changes because it's a council property. You're not allowed to do that. So ultimately, having my own source of income, owning our own property, that would make me feel so much more secure and stable. The next tier we have is love and friendship, and as I've said many times before, I don't really have many friends around here, and I became okay with that a long time ago, and it was only during the last year that it became a problem. To have nodding acquaintances was fine. I didn't need to be friends with anyone, and I was fine with it, acknowledging that not all people are your people is fine. There's, we dress differently, we're interested in different things, the way we interact is different, social norms is different, like the way we're raised is different. The one that stood out to me the most is when I've ever gone to someone's house around here, I've never even so much been offered a glass of water. You come into my house, we have sweeteners and decaffeinated coffee and decaf tea. Even though we don't consume those things, we have them so that we can make our guests comfortable if they come into our home. I was always raised that when you have a guest, you offer them a drink at minimum, or put out biscuits or a snack or something. That is how I was raised, and to me it's very rude not to do that, but that seems to be the norm around here. But that's a whole other tangent. But just things like that build up a picture of, these are not my people, and I'm okay with that. Does that mean I have a superiority complex about it? No. I'm just acknowledging and accepting the way things are. So no one has reached out to me to befriend me, so yeah, it's fine. I'm fine with it, or I was fine with it until it became almost weaponized exclusion, to be honest, to the point where people wouldn't even nod or acknowledge my existence. That really had a knock on my confidence. And in turn, when I'm going through periods of bad mental health, it does have an effect on our relationship, because I'm not as I'm a lot more volatile, and he doesn't deal very well with conflict, and my volatility creates a lot more confidence, so creates a lot more conflict, so there's a lot more friction in the house than there would be normally. So in terms of externally, I've made a point of reminding myself that it was never a problem before not having friends around here. It's fine. I'm fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. In terms of our relationship in the house, it's more about rebuilding connection, spending more quality time together, and healing the ruptures. And the other aspect that I'll put in here is YouTube. YouTube was my form of, when I couldn't have actual physical interaction, YouTube was like my social interaction. And trying to come back to YouTube when I wasn't fully ready to I see now how silly that was. I wasn't fully ready to come back to YouTube and do it properly. I was very apprehensive about coming back to YouTube because I know there are people that are aware of my YouTube and watch my YouTube that will glean information and weaponize it against me. And that, while that could be paranoid assumption, I can't forget that these are people that watched my content, knew explicitly how hard a time I was going through, and still chose to give me a hard time. There's not a single ounce of empathy in them towards me. And now that I analyse it a bit more, it just makes me think. It does make me apprehensive about who I could offend with my opinions, but on analysis of it, it makes me realise that if they were to bring anything up or treat me differently because of something I've said in a video, they would then have to admit that they've watched my videos, which would be very strange behaviour for someone who claims to hate me. The mental gymnastics of it all, you know. But rebuilding and regaining my confidence in doing YouTube videos is also a well that I want to refill, because it was very fulfilling for me to do YouTube. It gave me that outlet and interaction that I needed to sustain myself. Like, I'm an introverted person, or maybe I'm just it's one of these things, like, I am extroverted, but the people that I'm around usually don't like the way that I behave. Like, you know, people, when you're around people that always try and minimize you, I feel like I'm always trying to be minimized. Like, my personality is always too big. And that was something that was always mentioned in when I was a child, that I had such a big, vivacious personality. And I've spent most of my adult life being stuffed into a box. People don't like me doing my thing. People like me doing what they expect of me. And yeah, no more of that. That's not happening. And that's where we come on to esteem. Esteem is your perception of yourself. I am no longer allowing myself to be stuffed into a box, okay? I will express myself how I want. I will portray myself how I want. I don't want to say I don't care, but it's not that I don't care, it's that I don't feel like other people's opinions should hinder my growth. I don't think other people's opinions should shut down how I feel about something, or how I advocate for myself. That was a very that took a minute to grasp the specific word I needed. And then from there we get on to self-actualization, the top of the pyramid of needs. And self-actualization is reaching your full potential. And that is where, again, becoming self-employed and pursuing my career comes in, and being a better mother comes in. And I have been dealing with so much imposter syndrome lately because of how I felt. How could I possibly be in a position to be giving advice and helping other people grow and learn and elevate if I am like stuck in a tar pit, you know. But again, when you analyze it and reverse engineer that, I am in a perfect position to follow that career path because I've been there, I've been in the trenches, I know how hard it gets, and yet I'm getting out of it. I have found the tools and strategies to get out of it. So if you're not in quite a position where I am, everything that I've used before will help you. And if building myself from the ground up and fulfilling the pyramid of needs works, then I'll have even more in my armory to offer people to help them. Particularly in the realm of motherhood, in the realm of parenting, mental health, and finding how you're going to exist in the world is such a huge hurdle. And dealing with mum guilt as I am as well. I've had so much mum guilt. That'll be a whole other video. Like, the children develop perspectives. They develop how they perceive the world, and they see all their friends getting this and getting that and doing the next thing, but they don't take into account the nuances that colour that. For example, we are a family of 6. Most of their friends are either a family of 3 or just a mum and a kid. Or a mum and her 2 kids, you know. There's a lot of single parent households in the area, and again, I don't want anyone to read any into that. It's just a simple fact. It is. There are a lot of single parent households in the area that get a lot of help that we don't get offered for the very simple fact they are just a single parent. We are a low income household with 2 parents, and we don't get offered half as much as gets offered to single parents. We just don't. And you could be bitter about that, or you could get on with it. I also don't hold well with the concept of getting into debt for Christmas or birthdays. I don't like to lavish, I don't like to express my love for my kids by lavishing gifts. Like, consumerism does not equate affection, because it's, I don't know, it's another sort of trauma from my childhood that I'll need to dive into at another point. But just because people buy you gifts or give you an extravagant birthday, well, actually that's a perfect example. As a child, my birthday parties were not for me. They were for show. My birthday parties were my mother trying to one up other mothers. Because if I got a birthday party that I actually wanted, it would have been somewhere where we could play, rather than somewhere that was comfortable for my mum to talk to other mothers and do the things that they did. And I'm replaying a lot of horrible memories in my head right now. I remember I will come back to it in another video, otherwise we're just going to end up in a spiral and I might end up crying. But that is what we are going forward. We are going through the hierarchy of needs, building myself up from the ground to the top, and I'm going to document in detail everything that I am working through. There's going to be loads of videos coming up, and now that I'm more aware of what is actually the problem and focusing on actually fixing the actual problem, we'll have a lot more progress, we'll see a lot more growth, and hopefully it'll be a more rewarding experience mutually. You guys will get the content you like, I will get the growth I'd like to see, and it'll be all round a great experience. And if I can get additional products out of that, finish off some writings, work on building up a business, that would be awesome as well. So I will leave this video here because it's getting very, very long, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching, and bye bye.